Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough testing of, well, it's changed. And you may have noticed things changed a bit. Maybe you watched the sort of pro tip video / update video that I made a couple days ago at this point. That I've restarted and played up to here with BICE 11 and an updated version of Third Reich events to work with it. So that was a bit of a change. So we are going to continue from here, playing. So hey, before we get into all this, can maybe give me a like on this video? You're new here, please hit that subscribe button. I know most of you aren't, but hey, if you are new here, and hey, just post hi. You don't know how much it helps feed that algorithm thing if you just make a comment. It really does help. Okay, well, the Österreich Bundesheer. Okay, don't know if that's what it was really called. We do have this Licht division here with light armor. Now, historically, real world historically, they imported a bunch of Italian CV-33s or L-33s, I've seen them called, or whatever. They're the little tankettes that have the dual machine guns. Now, they mounted different machine guns in them than the Italians did. But that's what Austria had as its tanks. And it was maybe a battalion's worth. I don't quite know. It was more than a company or more. I don't know of these tanks. It wasn't very many. I don't know what happened to them. Whether they were given to somebody like Romania, which did use the CV-33s, or Croats some point. I don't really have a good idea, or maybe given over to the Hungarians or the Slovakians. I don't know what happened to them. They also had an armored car, which is sort of represented here. It was an 8-wheeled armored car that was set up to be driven in both directions, meaning it had a steering wheel on both sides. And you can famously see at least one of them photographed at the Battle of Danzig being used by the SS. So I think that the armored cars were given over entirely to the SS. I don't know how many of right offhand, I don't know how many there were. There weren't many, but there were some. They were all right. They were just different from everything else Germany was using, so they didn't continue production. I think they were Austrian production. Just a bit of and I posted over on the BICE forums about the expense, and I think they're going to remove it, though I may remove it also from with TRE. The expense of setting all these things up, they have it 15 ICs. And I gave sort of the reason. They said, well, you don't really need to give all the reasons, and they're going to get rid of them. And I said, don't throw numbers, cost of what it would cost to build these units. Most of the equipment, I'm not going to say 100% because if you talk universally, you'll always be tripped up somewhere. But most of the equipment at this time period, before the war and into the early phases of the war, most of the equipment for the SS, whatever that might mean, whether it's these guys are basically concentration camp guards, though as used in this game, they were also set up to be used as a reserve element for the SS VT personnel. And there were various SS Standarten around, like all these SA Standarten, sort of kind of doing something of a similar sort of job, if you will. And personnel gets changed around, so how much should those be on the map? I don't know, but these guys sort of should be. And okay, so the SS needed to find weaponry. They got weapons wherever they could. I don't have all of the details, but I'm sure some of it would be leftover Gewehr 98s from World War I that they'd get their hands on, and similar sorts of things. Once Czechoslovakia gets taken, they get a lot of Czech weapons. The Czech Mauser is the same caliber as the German Mauser. Eventually, I'll talk more about some of that later on. Eventually, they switch over the Czech Mauser production to match the German 98K in all parts. But they keep it in production, the Czech version, for a while, and make some specialty versions for a while. But they get a lot of Czech equipment. They get Austrian equipment, like the Schwarzschloss machine guns and things like that. That the Austrians rechambered them from the Austrian-Hungarian calibers, at least many of them, over to the German caliber of 7.92 millimeter. Had already been done. Lots of pistols that the SS carry, small, often, these type of guys' pistols, not the, Waffen-SS pistol type pistols, but, they're Austrian. So they've got to find at least weaponry not from military sources. Another one you'll see in a lot of video games is an MP34 or an MP35. It's the same gun that just has various different designations depending on where they're trying to sell it or classify it as. Had a mild success of selling the gun before and after Austria gets unified into South America, and there sold many of them over in 45 ACP because of somewhat common use of the 45 caliber in the Americas. So they made a version of that, and they made two versions of 9mm, one in the Parabellum and one in, I don't know, another 9mm. I forget which one. Maybe it's just an Austrian type, or maybe it's 9mm Largo. I don't know, but a slightly different 9mm. Very nice submachine gun, but expensive to make. The Japanese, I think, buy 100 or 200 of them. While they're sort of working up and figuring out, they never really get properly into production. Even something as simple as a basic submachine gun that probably would have helped them considerably. But their commando forces do get a couple hundred of these Austrian guns. I don't know whether they were made and sold when it was still Austria or after it's part of Germany. And so the production, eventually, I don't know what happens to the machinery. But for quite some time, it's just sort of commercial sales, around the world or wherever. And so, but the machinery sits there, not being, produced for the German army or the Navy or the Luftwaffe. So the Waffen-SS get a hold of a bunch of these, some probably remainder Austrian guns, others, ordered from them. And so my point with the event on the SS TV, Totenkopfverband units, is that they had to get supply sources, even if it's new production, even if, say, DWM, making Mauser rifles, Deutsches Maschinenwerk, Maschinen und Werk, however you say it. Sorry, I'm butchering it. Germans, have fun, laugh at my German. Go ahead. Even if they're making 100 Mauser rifles a day because that's the production that the army orders, so they're making them. But within the 8-hour workday or whatever they would work, if they could produce 120, well, they could. The SS could buy the extra 20 or something off of it without. They could buy stuff that wouldn't interrupt supplying the military, and not through military sources. They'd have to go to the company and buy them from them. So it's not, real life isn't necessarily a zero-sum game where it is in here. So the formations of these units here and some of the other ones should cost some supplies like they used to, because I don't know, helmets or something like that, boots, some production capacity, but a lot of the stuff doesn't interrupt or disrupt other production supplies. Now, if you want to spam these units out, I don't even know which ones are available to currently, where the SD is currently available to make. I don't know that we can produce the TKSS units ever, or the fascist militia here. You want to spam out a bunch of stuff, meaning more than they had, found supplies for. Yeah, that should take away from other usage, kind of thing. So yeah, certain amount of remainder. So get back to where I started with sort of the story of what happens with the Austrian equipment. So it's, as much as possible, it's integrated in. Some of these units most assuredly survive the process of unification. Others disappear. I've decided to keep this, instead of just get the manpower. But what I'm going to do here, I think, full motorized infantry. Let's go with an armored battalion. We're going to convert these cavalry from cavalry into armored battalion. And that will put that in the production queue. Should be a little cheaper than producing one of our, a fresh one. So to make this a little more useful eventually of a division, so that we have those later when. Okay, agricultural advance, very good. That's under here. Okay, 1940, that's way too far in the future to continue right now. 35% more manpower. If you watched my last playthrough, you saw how I was bleeding manpower in the east. I have some thoughts about how to do some of that better, but definitely I've early on been doing massive conscription to try to build that number up. Okay, light cruiser escort advance. That would be here. Don't really, I don't know how much we need that at all, but some development here would be nice. I think we'll do fire control systems. And armored fighting vehicles, tracks, and suspension, which is this, but that will now allow us to come here, and we can get a whole lot more possible. What did I not unclick, or is there? Oh, okay, well, I thought I unclicked that, and I didn't. And that there, okay, good. Now, we're gonna not do tank destroyers. I'm gonna do assault guns. I mean, not tank infantry support tanks as a thing here. If I steal the tech, fine, but I don't think I'm ever gonna build any. Density alloys, absolutely, we want to do that. We're getting a lot more because we just added Austria, a lot more leadership and other things. Now, we are in 38. So in 38, it is a 480 ICs before you start getting into, oops, you have too much. You get some significantly negative consequences that do not go away until you take Paris and London, or Leningrad, Moscow, and Stalingrad. So yeah, you don't, if you ever come with the economic penalties, go back to an earlier save. Now, some of people talk, well, I always keep 3 saves, blah, blah, blah. I keep huge numbers of saves. What I do is just create another save file called old saves normally, and just shuffle them in to keep too many from building up at any one time so that I can go back. So just make sure you don't ever hit it. And I've put up an infographic before. You can find a video that if you want to have up that tells what year it 37 is 400 ICs. 38 is 480 80. I see. What more? Well, it's at least that. Yeah, I'm not going to get over to it right now, but something like that. So we're going to make sure we keep under 480. But I know 480 is the you can at least have that in 38. I'm thinking maybe to something. Yeah. Well, sorry if I'm not giving. I think my information is correct in that it's at least you're safe at 480. And then after 1940, there's no limit. But if you already have the negative effects, if you push too far too soon, then that is a problem. Okay, well, we can already doing some, but we can do more. We'll start over here at reconnaissance because most divisions use some reconnaissance. Well, let's come down here also. Okay, yes, we have these to pick up as well. Let's build our dance card of current researchable text. We're going to need more of that because we've added a bunch of ICs. I'm going to give it a little bit to get some of these fully repaired, as it were, or however you want to say it. I want to see if there's any others that have a heavy IC here in Linz. Okay. And over here in Innsbruck. The top just to make sure they are in production. Enough. ICs to upgrades. We got to upgrade the pre-existing German units that needed it, as well as the Austrian units that we just acquired now. Let's do. You can see here now. My evaluation is, I'm just looking at the border here, is that Czechoslovakia was somewhat defendable. They very much had based their, and actually had a few advisors, including one of the main engineers, come over that built the Maginot Line to help them build their border defenses with Germany. They are reasonably defendable against a German attack, so long as they have significant allies that are going to join in the fight. If Austria at least stays neutral, if Poland and say France and Belgium really sort of come in and push, yeah, I think they could have, been able to, be defensible. But now, and they do, my understanding is they do add some fortifications more down here. But even, unless you're building the Great Wall of China kind of equivalency, it's partially that the border is just this much longer. I mean, that's an element of it. But with the ability to push in, push here, and if we particularly look here, we go from, well, these are hills, okay, they're, I don't know if there's any of these things that are considered mountainous here, but they're not alpine type mountains, I'm sure, but these are fairly rugged, and you can, have an idea of a defense here. But come down here, and the Germans can come and push from here. It's just not a practical defense. Czechoslovakia becomes undefendable, even if, say, Poland and France and whatnot are going to be going against Germany as well. Small arms advance, very useful. Okay. Yeah, I like getting the headquarters. We'll Turkey. Yes, you can have metal. Yeah, we want to see about doing is. I want to, as much as possible, trade with the Soviet Union, but they're running out of money, so I don't want to push them too hard on that. So let's trade with the USA. Especially selling stuff to the USA, that can continue more or less. Well, sometimes they might put a blockade on you depending on some things, and I don't know whether the mod will still do that. But you might be able to continue to sell stuff into the US even after the war starts. Just get to the point that you might not be able to buy things because, resources because of the blockading. Okay. Just looking here, we start building up more officers. I want more spies. Hopefully that one. Someone. Well, let's come here. Lock that down. Unlock that. Let's reduce this down to, yeah, right about. Any additional gain we'll put into research. Now, another thing, and I think one of the play testers was having a trouble. He was having trouble. I'm not absolutely sure what his problem was. He multiple things sort of went wrong. Is he didn't have the opportunity to get the Munich conference to take the Sudetenland, so he just declares war. That for some reason was having ship losses as well as an HQ loss. So I'm not sure why that was happening. Just not sure on that. But what I'm thinking is, to get the Sudeten conference to fire, it must be in 1938, and you must have less than 2% of dissent. So just the way it's coded, and that part is not up. I mean, I could change it, but it's not set by me. It's set by the Black Ice people. So that you need to make sure that you get this down to below 3% dissent before 39 for the Sudeten crisis to fire. And then later you have to take the rest of it. Infantry guns advance. Very nice. It's over here. Pretty soon we'll be doing all of those, but until then, yeah, let's do SS. Yeah, okay. I want to build the money up more too. Okay, well, building money up. Okay, Portugal, yes, you can build a destroyer, infantry, anti-tank weapons, and support weapons. So let's click, there we go. Just as I was saying, now we will do this, and we will do that. And we can do just that much. I don't like to go over. You can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having more things set to be researched than not, but I just sort of want to think that at least most of the things I've set up to research will be researched. Naval strike tactics. Yeah, we'll probably come back to that. I want to look into here for special forces upgrade. Get that going. Now, with Third Reich events, money is much less important than it is in Black Ice. There's a bunch. I'm just looking at my money here. It's making me think of this. There are a bunch of some other time maybe. I guess better to illustrate it with here. A bunch of these things in here, these, movie studios, central intelligence headquarters, even these need massive money capabilities or stockpiles to have these things fire and then cost. You have to have the money stockpiled or you won't have the opportunity to fire them. I've gotten rid of, a lot of times it was saying maybe like 2,000 or 4,000 money, and I've reduced it down to 200. But I've massively, in some cases, doubling the amount of supplies needed for these things here. I just moved them from what I consider an international exchange medium here, money in this game, to production costs. So you still have to it's still they're still going to cost. I don't know, is it harder to make supplies, sell supplies to a foreign country, get money, and then spend the money on your imperial foreign ministry or your palace of justice? My thought is, well, building a palace of justice and I'm looking at Germany, but also the other great powers here, probably doesn't require a lot of imports. Some imports maybe, but doesn't require a lot of imports is my view on this. So, but it may require a lot of cost. So instead of either selling resources, coal, oil, or whatever, or selling supplies and getting money or fuel or whatever, but in Germany's case, it's normally selling supplies or fuel or something like that, getting money, and then getting the thing. You just accumulate the supplies. So you should have a huge oversupply of supplies if you want these things to even fire, because it's because they'll immediately zero out negatives. So I just up the minimum requirements of the supplies, in stockpile to fire them. So just keep that in mind whenever you're playing. And TRE uses a lot of supplies as a cost as well, in its own thing. So just keep that in mind. But you should have 2,000 plus reserve of money anyways. But so keep both of those in mind as you play. I very, very much don't try to make TRE make the game easier. There are a lot of things that cost. I don't know if somebody were to sit down, with a calculator and slide rule and doing all the stuff and figuring out all the costs, that whether it's some of these things in here at start or continuing, or whether it's other costs, whether TRE does make it easier or less easy, as in production kind of realms. From Black Ice, I don't know. I think it might, but I don't know. I try to make it historical. Move this just before the first of the, or not first of the year, first of the month. Since we've got this, okay, so we've got some more materials. Steel production and coal processing. Not that we absolutely needed it, but yeah, we're gonna do it just because we might someday. And I don't know if some of these, like steel production, has a these might need a minimum of something there. I'm not sure. I think there is some of that, but I don't know if we still need more. Just one. I might do 39 of those two. Probably not seaport, probably not airport. Let's come down to a bunch of these and start pushing through some of these. There's nothing wrong with having more than you need of things like resources. Oh, another thing, I have a tendency to do this a lot while playing. One, just because I'm sort of bored looking at all this stuff. But if you're trying to zoom in and zoom out, and it's trying to save at the same moment, it can often crash your game. So be careful. If you start noticing that you are it's saving, stop trying to zoom in or zoom in or zoom out. I've had that twice now today, and it was entirely my fault that I was doing that, and we had to crash. Okay, another HQ, and forming from that. So moving some, and we're getting a new unit there. Good. Another cool HQ. Okay, let's see here. Let's see the plans for broadcasting. I think I know what I want to do, but let's take a quick look since we're here. We could do entertainment shows. More money, yeah, that's nice, but I don't see that as a big issue. Consumer goods, less during wartime, less during peacetime. I think they've made no, not heavy industry. What do we need to get to there? Communism at war, or at least unity is 80. You have 100% unity. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, here. War economy. I think they have up the consumer goods during peacetime from earlier versions, but you actually need less consumer goods during wartime if you do this. If you want to, and I wouldn't mind a report, but I once did the math on the last version, and it helped maybe a little bit, but not as much as other things. So I normally don't do this, but if you really are going to try to run a war economy in peacetime, yeah, this would be very helpful, and then of course huge. The other is we have, of course, heroic tales, territorial pride, national unity, organization regain rate, or we have huge news. Ruling party support 18%. I think we can do that. And you can see here we are just at 29% ruling party support. And it looks like we're going to be growing here, but due to internal factors. But I want to, and that would be the most expensive. And that's why we need a lot of money. I think we will do that. Yes, we want Heinkel and Sud Schauet down in Austria, and as DAP or SA in Austria. No, I talked about that before. yes, we want to build or have Philip Holzman. It's a major company, still around to this day. Help build the West Wall. They did that historically. Negotiation. Prime Minister Czechoslovakia Milan Hosta here has begun negotiations with the Sudeten Party on the national question, and that's Conrad Henlein. Yes, we'll look inside the Wilhelm Gustloff and see the pool it had. My understanding is the Germans were the first to build cruise ships. Before Germany, and I'm not absolutely certain, but of any of large scales ships, most ships were passenger liners, meaning that they were meant to say somewhere like Brest or Cherbourg or somewhere, up here. I think in Liverpool more than down Bristol's a small port. I think like Liverpool. And they would load passengers on, and they take passengers, say, to America. Those passengers would get off, they get on other passengers, and the passengers would come back to Liverpool. Now, eventually, unless they were like immigrating to America, eventually, yeah, the passengers, after having a holiday or whatever in the U.S., they get back on and come back but on a different run. Where a cruise ship is, which most of the what these were designed to do, is that they go on a cruise, the passengers who get on the cruise go and stop at 4 or 5 destinations and then come back all in the same trip. That's sort of the difference between a cruise ship and a passenger liner. These were built as cruise ships. Okay, Armored HQ advanced. Very good. And we'll stop that for the moment. And the Giuliano Caesar has launched. Julius Caesar in giant industrial projects. That okay, well, unless we want more HQs. Okay, cool. We'll just that to there and that to there. Yeah, we're going to go huge news right now. And each one of those levels, I believe, is still, I know it was at one time, are more expensive to build than the earlier ones. Oh, we could do it. Security installations, and we have a little more. Let's do mountain HQs. Let's do projects. With the clock countdown ticking. Okay, student SS Standard der Führer, new monumental building for the nation. Good. Okay, so we've lost low popularity and we're now at medium popularity. There's a lot of things in TRE that improve National Socialist popularity. Part of it is I just see things that historically that I think would improve popularity, but also part of it is just constantly playing this game. Social conservatism, sort of, I guess, the Republicans, and market liberalism is sort of the Democrats in America this time. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be this big a thing. There would be, crypto communists and crypto socialists or whatever, meaning that they weren't openly, carrying flags because they were illegal, but that may be their popular support. Just they don't, have a union or have an organization they can belong to. I want to look here. Yes, okay, we could do Fritz Todt. Now, this is the other thing before, because we got a lot of supplies there, but let's just make sure we get this. Okay. Now, what do we want to do? We have, this is a different thing. We have national highways. I give that to you as at the start in TRE. They were the first ones that had them, and then they still continue building the Autobahn, but it's heavily built by the start of the game. Mining, I don't know if we're going to do that. It's that manpower, the ICs. The only really thing that we need at all here is crude oil. 10% is good, but that's normally what I do. But especially the manpower down, that's sort of stopping me. And collectivization of farms is only for the communists, so we don't have that as an option. Okay, so we have one of these buildings to choose from. War Ministry, okay, that's pretty good once we get to the war. 5% organization bonus. Imperial Finance Ministry supposedly takes a long time to get that money back, but though I've reduced the money cost down. So yeah, if you want to pump out, need a lot more consumer goods to get money. I wouldn't. I have not seen a need for that. Foreign Ministry, okay, yeah, ruling party support's nice. Counterintelligence, yeah, change of neutrality, espionage bonus, all nice, not bad. Reduce revolt risk, but party support, I'm like I just mentioned, don't have that. Party of the Palace, okay, spending money, getting ruling party support, that would be useful, and having high popularity or high popular support is good. I just don't do enough intelligence stuff. Imperial seat of government, with all these Reich Ministerium, the Reich Chancellery, the Luft Ministerium, and all these buildings. Yeah, Germany was sort of building an imperial seat of government. Britain, I might all sort of give that to them because they still, the British East India Company, I think, was still around in this time period. I know the buildings are still there. They were no longer governing India as a political body, but I think they were still, business-wise administering a lot of stuff going on there. They had built out a thing. So I might give that if I was building a mod for Britain, give that at the start of Britain. But leadership modifier, 2%, good. Territorial pride, 10%. Well, we're going to hopefully never fight on our own territory. National unity, that's nice. Ruling party support, 10%. That's pretty nice. Movie studio, again, since I've reduced the money costs, that might be worth it. But you lose daily dissent and get more money. National revolt risk, that is good, but we don't need that right now. Counter espionage would be good. I think we're going to go with the imperial seat of government. That's my normal because it's leadership, ruling party support. It's a good mix. I would do this, and then in 39, do Imperial War Ministry is probably what I would do. I don't know if I would go past those, and because you need to be going for long term. No, you don't. You don't need to. No, you don't need to. Long term economics is for the like the farms and the mines, so you can go beyond that. So yeah, I would probably go other things. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. Imperial seat of government. As somebody complained, and rightfully so. You can see this now. You see, I've massively reduced the money. I don't know if I upped the metal or not. I might have, but it's 30,000 supplies and plus 3 in dissent. So that is still a big hit to your economy. So we've lost that, and that's why I was talking about here. But we've gone up to this. So what I'm going to do here is unlock this. Let's lock that for the moment. Let's just go to something like that and then lock that down. We're going to keep this locked here because we want to rebuild the supply base. Okay, I'm also noticing, well, the Scharnhorst, that isn't a bad thing to be in production. Did that get done? That got done. Yeah. Getting through some of that. There. let's do another fighters production run, and let's design an armored division here. We're just going to go over to armor, not light armor. We're going to do a sort of later adjusted, we're going to do a motorized infantry battalion, not a full. Let's do artillery, armored cars. Now we're going to do trucks and divisional headquarters. Most of my divisions, at least I'm going to start them out as 7, though we can go to 8 brigades. Okay, the cost here is 9. Motorized support is almost 10. Motorized engineers is 3, so it's a lot cheaper. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw in a motorized support to this. Okay, so that will be 26 ICs. Now I'm going to move all of that just like that. Then I'll probably let the Scharnhorst into production, and we can research some more stuff. Let's do armored combined. Infantry combined. And we're going to hit the save button. Just after the first of the month, but still, let's go. So we're right now at 400 ICs. It's 480 that we have to watch out for. The Imperial Seat of Government. Very good. Air liaison advance. Okay. That's going to take a while to get done. And gun turrets advance. Which caliber machine guns? Okay, just a small, but might as well use it. We could move it to something like more officers, which will become a thing needing to concern with soon. Okay, yes, money for rare materials. So we hope to bring this down fairly quickly. The Sudeten thing to fire. There is a date, not sure when, mid to late July or August, maybe September. I don't know that there's a minimum date for the Sudeten thing to fire, but the only thing I change is the code for that. So German sees Otto Habsburg's property in Austria. He's living in Paris at this time. But anything he had in Austria, Hitler seizes. Yes, well, yeah, for that. User fire control. Okay, that is grayed out. Fine. Light AA guns there. And nav tactics. Naval air tactics. Let that one continue. I said we've got to watch this. Just pay attention to it. Okay. Bomber, sure, you can have. naval bomber. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Hopefully you'll use it appropriately. The best thing to do is not to stop building more ICs, but as you get closer to that division away. As you get closer to the number, reduce. Who did we have in charge of the other? I don't remember. Not that it matters. We want to. I think it's really cool those that either know it or want to have the 1st Mountain Division here commanded by the historical person. That's cool, but I'm not quite that. Thought it was Dietl, but Dietl's right now in charge of an Austrian unit, so I don't. Let's go. We want. Let's look more here. I was looking more here. See if I recognize somebody. Looters. That looks like a good option. Let's bring them down here. Okay, Großdeutschland. Yes, what a surprise! We won the election, and like that gave a lot of popularity. Well, that's meant to sort of be the idea that hey, everybody in Germany is really happy that I think it's infiltration tactics. Oh, well, that's grayed out. Okay, so that's I think Germans were rather pleased with unification, so that gives a lot of popular support to the Nazis, and Hitler in particular. Paratrooper activation, that's good. As well, but also there was a lot of campaigning involved in that election too, which means I don't know if people like you get tired of campaign ads at least in America, an election year, it really gets a bit annoying. But the way a lot of their campaigning stuff, at least from what I've seen, is a lot more positive message type stuff as opposed to negative, so that it might be an element that gets more party support. So all of that, I think, comes within making that doesn't seem unduly okay. Well, we've stolen cruiser bulkhead layouts to level 4. Now I don't know when or if, particularly if in this campaign, cruiser. Okay, so here we're at 4 here. If we're ever going to build much ships this campaign, because I don't know how far we'll get. Volk und Race magazine understands this is obviously a racist publication. People and race, sort of by our folk. That's sort of I think it's a newish German word. I don't know for sure. There's German prior to the Nazis had many variations. German speaking in Germany, or Deutsche speaking in Deutschland, if I'm getting that right, probably not. During the Nazi period is when they really start to get the same dictionary everywhere. They have different dictionaries with different spellings and different word meanings in different regions of Germany prior to the Nazis coming to power. So they're making it all the same. But I think Volk is bringing in from the English folk, spelled with an F. But so it's obviously a racist magazine. But from everything I can tell on this, again, I don't read German, and I do think I saw maybe a few pictures from inside the magazine. This would be a positive presented in comparison. Okay, what is it? Presented in comparisons to the healthy Aryans. Oh, okay, much as they cost the German. These are such sane and hereditary, such as the insane and hereditarily diseased. Periodicals only occasionally contain. Oh, okay, yes. Here's that. The periodical only occasionally contains open anti-Semitism. Most of the material used in Vulcan race portrayed the German races in a most pleasant light, presenting in comparison to healthy. So it's mostly a positive type racism, though we do see here. And I wrote this or copied this from another source talking about this, meaning I don't read German. I'm trusting that I'm getting good information. But take what is written there, not what I'm just saying now, because I don't remember how many years ago that I made the event, kind of thing. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is maybe what the person is complaining about. This is not directly that we're moving our economy. One of the playtesters is complaining about something like this, and I wish he would give. If you're playtesting this for me and you want to complain about something, put at least part of the title in here, because it's easier for me to then try to search to find. Because if you look at the Black Ice organization of where files are, it's crazy. Sometimes it's easy to find things, sometimes it's super hard, but just if I have the exact thing written out, I can do searches, get it quicker. Okay, well, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so this, so like we're talking about how popular overall in Germany the unification is, and it's reasonably popular in Austria itself, but like here, Goering orders all Jews out of Austria, kind of thing. There are a bunch that flee. One in sort of preparation, and I don't know at what stage, whether it was before the Germans come into Austria or after it, one Jewish man buys a bunch of platinum wire somewhere. I don't know where you buy platinum wire, but he bought a bunch of platinum wire, and he twisted it into shapes of coat hangers, and then his wife put some sort of slip covers over them and hung their clothes up on that, and that's how they got some of their wealth. And they weren't even letting people come out with pocket change, Jews or anybody trying to leave Germany. So trying to get some of your money out. I know people associate negative elements of Jews and money, but I don't. And trying to get out. So this is from a U.S. newspaper here, this story. And that's during one of his speeches during this period. Maybe even from where he's ordering this out. I'm not absolutely sure that, but this. So there is, and I use the descent feature here to represent here what we need to do here, even maybe more so, is, let's unlock that, is to spend money streamlining, organizing in, whatever you want to call it, Austria into Germany, if you will. Some of it is negative elements, like driving out a lot of your professional class, the Jews, driving out people of different political persuasions that weren't going to be allowed to function in Germany. There are a lot of Austrians that leave, including Konrad Welt, I believe, was an Austrian. He is he plays the Luftwaffe officer. He really plays a bunch of German officers. Plays the Luftwaffe officer in Casablanca. That's Konrad Welt, very good actor. He was an Austrian, I believe. Now Marlene Dietrich, I think she was just German, and she had already fled. Then there's also like Peter Lorre, who I believe is also German. He starred very famously in the movie M, a German, mystery psycho thriller. I've only just seen subtitles a long time ago. And of course, he stars in Casablanca. Well, one of the sort of supporting players because he gets killed very early on in it, but also in movies like The Maltese Falcon and others. So there is a lot that plays. Robert Toller, right, gets a head injury in a battle in Switzerland, in street battles, kind of thing. So yeah, so you should pump a lot into getting this pumped down. As fast as possible. And for all of the benefits Germany, gets getting Austria, there is a fair amount of expense at integrating it in with the rest of Germany. And yes, I know too much about these things to know all the actors and where they're from and the various movies. Okay, medium bomber prototypes. Okay, grayed out. Well, yeah, let's do medium fuel tank. We'll get that. Okay. Organization tote. It's being developed around this time period. Do we want to formalize it? Yes. We'll do that. Okay, that's something we should look at right now. Mentioning that. That is sort of why here. This is a reasonably good title: head of state, head of government. It works in many cases. In Japan, I would say head of state is still the emperor at this time. Eventually, in modern day thing, he may technically be, but I don't know if functionally he is now. Most monarchs around the world, I would just put as pure figureheads. The queen or the king back in these days, maybe more head of state. I mean, they're still technically in Britain, still head of state to this day. I don't know if functionally how much governmental influence they really have. Back then, a bit more than now, for sure. Don't know. In the U.S., this is the head of state and head of government are one office, but you could just throw in the vice presidency. So this sort of works. Minister of Foreign Affairs works. This is wrong. Now, I don't know that they've changed much. I don't know if they've added somebody here, but this is wrong in two things. Minister of National Defense. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure on this, and I'm probably wrong in some case somewhere, but to the best of my knowledge, there were no ministers of defense, whatever you want to call them. In the U.S., it would be the Secretary of Defense. There was no Secretary of Defense prior to the end of World War II. In the United States, it was the Secretary of War, and it was the War Department. Most nations had it was a war department. You start out here with Bloomberg, which would sort of be the head of the War Department for Germany. This should just be economics minister because, and someone pointed out, there were three different titles all simultaneously that we're dealing with, and I could maybe include head of the 4-year project that might be a fourth economics minister for Germany. Because sometimes they add in production minister and whatever else. So this is sort of what's your primary focus? Well, we can't change this now because we want the 4-year 4-year plan to continue. We're only in 1938. It goes till 1940. And not only are there effects here, see right down about here, you'll see TRE 4-year plan plus 10% on ICs. There are also other events that require 4-year plan flag to be in place, which will be removed if we get rid of Göring. You do get some more resources, which is meant, Reich Hermann Göring. And you also get some resources over here from that, because even if he goes away here, he's still minister and goes on through the war. Reich Hermann Göring still continues, so they are still pumping some more resources. So it is meant to be, when they're both in here, to have plus 10% resources. Once the focus moves away from Reich Hermann Göring and the 4-year plan to other operations, 4-year plan office still exists, I think, up until the end of the war, but it becomes less and less important. And you can also get more light aircraft practical decay having here. So we're not going to change that. That's going to stay. But again, that title's wrong. Ministry of the Interior used to be security. Well, often the Minister of the Interior of countries is the security. But we don't have a minister for propaganda. There are also several other sorts of, like in America, the Minister of the Interior has nothing to do with security or police. They may have technically some police force under them, but they're like National Guard or National Parks, National Parks Police, because the the Interior Ministry runs like the National Park Program and other programs sort of like that in America. You can also up here at economics, there's also like the trade ministry, commerce and whatnot, that all could be various things in various nations. So that's just bad. So here it can vary. That's fine. So then you could move away as your primary interior minister. So if you look at this as sort of interior ministers that deal with things in the interior of your country, I sort of like that as a title. So it can very much, if you want to focus heavily, like on the Reich Ministry of the Interior, Wilhelm Flick, who, as time goes on, he continues that, but the police come under Himmler. Starts out, the police are sort of there, and then ends up under Himmler, which we don't have Himmler right now. We do have the, he's there. I don't know why he starts so early, but he's after him, whatever. Later on, you can use him. Oh, we do have Himmler now. We'll think about that. Let's see. National manpower plus 5%. IC's down 3%. That because I made this up. The camps and things like that, and their bad decisions. Leadership, because of the various SS training programs, but also developing in foreign leadership, bringing him into prominence. Willing party support goes down. Partisan efficiency goes up, actually. Shouldn't it be down? No, I think, I don't know. Maybe I should change. I don't know if that's right. Got to look into that. I need to look into that. I don't know. But, no, I think I meant to have it partisan efficient. Yeah, because I meant that. Partisan efficiency goes up, meaning there's more partisans, because he's, doing evil things everywhere. Pissing people off and doing evil things makes people upset, and there's more partisans outside of Germany. So that would be, so he has his negativities, but it's maybe pretty good to bring him in with that manpower and leadership bonus later on. But we're going to keep Interior going with Goebbels for now. But here, we've been getting a lot of bonuses from Willy Messerschmitt. The main thing I did was change it. It was get rid of jet engines and move that to Heinkel and improve Heinkel's bomber decay thing. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go over to Fritz Todt, National Socialisten Bund Deutsches Technik. This is what he's in charge. The National Socialist League of German Technical something, technicians, or however you want to say that. And we saw earlier on he took over running this organization here. So this organization is under him, but if you want to focus on, I mean, I think George Schneidel is still in charge of this organization, but meaning the organization is now under his technical umbrella kind of thing. So not that he's fired, it's just who's in charge of it. Maybe did he take it away from this? I don't know. This is the Army's technical, which you do have a leadership bonus wherever for this anyways. Yeah, but we're going to go over to this so that we will, because we are continuing with lots of, how is that displaying? It's displaying. Oh, because it's wrapping around. Well, just some technique is wrapping under there. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Resources and that. I think that is good. Well, we can look here. Head of intelligence. Ruling party support. Or we could do Himmler here as intelligence. So Himmler can have a big empire. IC's down, ruling party support down a little bit, industrial and political intelligence, national manpower. No, we'll leave it him here. Leadership. So yeah, we'll leave that. Okay, yeah, money for a little. Okay. No. We have enough. We're gonna need more. Because we're still building, as you can see here, we're by reducing the decay and whatnot, we're still building a lot of ICs. And I want to see what, okay, see, I moved it, I upgraded that from a regular, foot engineers to motorized engineers. So yeah, now it's fast. I wanted that to be fast. Let's where is, oh, there it is. Well, we'll put it in the Panzer Army for the moment. I think we'll rearrange this sometime differently in the future, but just get them under that for now. And we need power for everybody. So that will be, oh, what is the current, okay. Yeah, this will work out just fine here. For more industry and did that blot out? Can you have more than one? I don't know if you can have more than one strategic resource here. May not be a great thing. I don't know. Decline for the moment. We can do that. Well, we're going to end this here. I want to thank you all for making it this far into the video. I really do appreciate it. Just thank you so much. Have a very good day. See you next time for even more, yes, more Hearts of Iron.